Welcome to the Soul Star Podcast with your spiritual besties, Alli and Mandy. We're here to make your spiritual journey fun, relatable, and inspiring. So let's raise your vibe and ignite your soul together.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another week at the Soul Star Podcast. We are, well, first of all, just very grateful that you're here. And we are just here too. I don't even know what to say.
Guess what? We're here. We're here.
You're
welcome. You're welcome. We've arrived.
We made it.
Through your speakers.
That was the most awkward intro ever. So.
I love it. I love the awkwardness.
Yeah.
We're all about that. Yeah. We're all about that. So today we're going to be talking about a really fun subject.
Wait, before we do,
I know we're gonna, oh shit. Okay, fine. Yes.
Allison is a heavy smoker.
Yeah.
And her name is Pearl today.
Yeah. That's my persona.
Just
my
kidding.
persona. That's who I'm showing up as.
That's who she's embodying, a really heavy smoker.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I hope you like it.
We're just kidding. Her voice is a little bit different though today because is it a cold? Is it?
I don't even know. It's not a cold. I haven't felt sick at all, but a cough, like at all.
Chakra. It's your throat chakra is doing something, activating something.
Oh,
yes.
Are you not saying something, Allison? No, you're right. I'm not saying something. Are you going to say what needs to be said? No, I'm not, because I don't want to right now.
Wait, did we talk about this? Was it last week or the week before where there was like, I'm getting the messages, but I'm choosing to ignore them because I am not ready to make the changes or the shifts that I'm being asked to change. So now it's showing up in your throat chakra. This is
so now H is like, you're so true. What the fuck? How am I just realizing this now? Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Like H is just like, all right.
We'll make you sick.
Let's have fun. And I'm like, I'm not even sick. I started having like just random, like, you know, when you just could cough, like you choked on some water or something like that. Like, it's not like a cough. Like I never cough unless I've been sick. And then a cough comes from that. Right. But I started kind of like just having these like tickles, but not sick. And then it kind of got into like horsey or
horse
or horse coughs where you're like, but not like a ton. Again, not sick. Don't feel sick. And then all of a sudden my voice started going. So laryngitis, I'm assuming, but thank you, H. God. Okay. Anyways, so today we got inspired by something that happened with us on the weekend to talk about telepathy.
Yeah.
What it is, how it shows up, share some stories, and we'll start with the story that kind of inspired this that we had together. So go for it, Mandy.
Okay. Well, we went to go see Wicked Part 2 together on Sunday. Yeah. It was a great movie.
Long. My butt hurt.
Yeah. It wasn't any longer than the first one, though.
I know. I don't know why.
Probably because it was a Sunday evening. And
yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
True that.
Yeah. So, okay. So I am driving. Allison texts me. I literally live 2 minutes from the theater, and Alli texts me and she said, I'm here. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't even left yet. So I jump in my car and I'm on my way to the theater. And as I'm pulling into the parking lot, I start thinking about Alli and her car and how I'm worried that her car is going to like not break down, but there's something that's going to happen with her car that she needs to fix. And it's going to be a financial strain. And then I started to feel worried and a little bit of panic. And I'm like, oh, Alli, living on your own, you have a mortgage, you have the kids, you're a single mom, like finances are tight, right? For anybody in that situation. I'm like, no, Alli can't have this added expense to her experience. Like,
I know.
So I started to worry. I don't know why it came in. Well, I do know why now, but it came into my awareness as I was driving to where you were, and then I was parking. And then I had this worry and this panic about you having this added expense to have to fix your car. Because I was like, it's getting old. Like I had this whole conversation in my head. I'm like, it is getting old. she's probably going to have to do something to it soon. And I'm like, oh, I hope she can afford it. And I don't know, whatever. So then we're sitting in the theater
Yeah.
and Allie says to me, she goes, oh, before we leave, I need to make sure that basically asked that I waited until you left so that to make sure, because you weren't sure if your car was going to start because your check engine light was on, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I was just thinking about how your car is going to break down and you need to get it, you're going to need to get it fixed. And I'm worried about this financial impact it's going to have on you. And then you told me that as you were sitting there waiting for me to get there, you were thinking about that
The
too, and
whole
how
thing.
you were like, I hope Mandy parks beside me or close to me so that she can watch me leave because I'm worried my car's not gonna.
And I'm not sure if it's going to turn on, and I don't want her to leave me there, and I can't turn my car on. So like, which was like, oh, and then you were totally like, oh my God, that's why it popped into your head, because it was so fucking random that it
Yeah.
was like I was projecting out to you, because I was Mandy and my car dying, all of the things. So I'm like projecting it out. You're receiving this random fucking thought. And it was like,
And this
what the
worry.
fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because you're also picking up on my worry, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there going, why the fuck is this engine light on? Why the hell, when I go to turn it on, it's like, it's like, then it starts to go. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I can't. It's just so much. I hate cars so much. So I'm like, it was just so fucking crazy. And like, that's for sure, that's telepathy. That's
Yeah.
our energies connected. There was, an energetic cell phone cord. That's how I kind of see it as, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like this energetic cell phone cord kind of going into your brain.
I connected to your wavelength.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's so cool. So, yeah, we wanted to share that. And that's what made us kind of sit here and think, we should talk about telepathy and like
Yeah.
how it's shown up for us, what it is, and how you can strengthen it and
Yeah.
all of that jazz.
Well, I was gonna say, like, if we hadn't had that conversation,
Yeah.
I actually would have thought that it was a intuitive hit that I was getting, that
Mm-hmm.
your car is going to break down, or that, and in a sense, it was because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know your check engine light was on or that your car
Mm-hmm.
was giving you a hard time. Already, I just thought that was something that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we hadn't had that conversation, I wouldn't have realized that I was actually picking up on your concern about your car and that I was just receiving your
What was
thought.
being sent out there already.
Yeah.
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 And I think I think even because like it wasn't like I was just like, oh, thinking about it myself. It was like I was thinking of you.
Yeah.
And because I like brought your energy into what I was thinking about because I needed your help. And then it kind of opened up that channel, which is was
Yeah.
so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're going to talk about that. Before we get into that, just we kind of mentioned it last podcast about the change
Yeah.
in the business. So obviously, the business used to be our business, the Soul Star Energy Collective, and earlier this year, past changed, callings changed, and it's come clear that it's now. I guess I'm doing it. I feel so weird. I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know. It's a very weird thing for me because I feel like I just feel mean.
You feel mean?
Yeah. Like
What?
I
Well, let me
know.
tell you how I see it. So
Okay,
it's
because I'm
kind of
sitting
like,
here being like, it's mine now. Like I just there's this energy of feeling mean, even though
no, I
it
don't
was your
feel
choice.
it is my choice.
Yeah.
So my like we did talk about this, how like we talked about it in the signs episode where you start receiving signs and guidance and intuition, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. And you're like, well, why would I do that? Why, like so for example, we built Soulstar together. It was birthed between the two of us. Like we created it, we expanded upon it, we connected with so many beautiful students and souls and collaborators and like the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was receiving this guidance, why would that why would I do that after 4 years of working so hard to build this beautiful business with somebody
Mhm.
that I love working with and that I admire?
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
People could be like, ooh, they had a falling out.
No, we didn't.
Bitch, please. We did not. We're
We
still on here having fun.
yeah,
Put
so
that drama away.
put that, yeah, there was no falling out. There is no falling out. We love each other, we respect each other, we
We
admire
went to
each
the
other.
movies together. Come on.
But to me, it's more like part of my purpose in that was to help you grow into who into your confidence so that you could carry it on.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say that. One of our my students, see, I have a hard time. I have a hard time saying
Well,
I want to say our
yeah.
who's in the soul activating journey right now, had listened to our last podcast, and she reached out and said, like, you probably already know this, but just say it anyways, which was a very, very good observation, because I didn't, it's like maybe in the background I kind of had an idea of it, but I didn't really like anchor in exactly that it
Mm.
was like part of Mandy's purpose was to get me from like, I can't talk about it, I can't do a reading, what are you talking about, you take the lead, you take the freaking scared
Yeah.
shitless, and to help me get to the place that I could do this on your own, and you fucking did it. And I remember when she'd said this, I remember thinking, wait a minute, you and I had said this years ago, at the beginning, where it was always kind of like, it felt like you would go ahead,
Hmm.
do the scary thing, and then like be like, okay, come on, Allison, come on. And it was always kind of this like, like, come on, we got this.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh yeah, okay. And then when it was time, that it was like, okay, and it did, because I remember we had a conversation about you thinking of changing careers, and it really like hit me, and it was emotional, and it's a dark night of the soul.
Mm.
And I remember it forced me to sit there and be like, wait a minute, I can do this.
Hmm.
Right. So I needed that trigger, to happen, to elicit in myself and believe in myself, like, wait a minute, if this is what's going to happen, I can do it. So by the time it came where it was you were stepping back, it was like, okay, yeah, you do what you need to do, because I know I can do it. So it's
Yeah.
fucking crazy how spirit lays it all out.
Yeah.
And we
And
even
how
joked, we even joke like H needed a physical guide on this side. And it was you. We joked about that, where we
yeah,
were
we
like,
did.
fuck, H like needed a physical guide on the other side, to be like, I can't do this on my own. I need somebody on the ground to just like keep her railer in.
I'm boots on the ground here.
Yeah, yeah.
Just puppet.
And boots on the ground here. Gonna slap her across the face. Get going.
But in all seriousness, it has been a very beautiful experience, and the underlying energy of our time together has been just that, where it was like a gentle encouragement for you to step into your power, and to understand your self-worth and embody that, right?
Yeah.
So I remember at the very beginning, there was times where you're like, we could feel that, where you would put yourself behind me and I
Oh
would
yeah.
encourage you to stand beside me, and then we would come together, and you would do the scary things and the hard things, and there was times, of course, where you encouraged me to do the scary things, like reels, for example.
Yeah.
That
And
was
there
not
was like learning on both sides, right? Because
Mhm.
there was this healing and learning on both sides in different aspects.
Yes.
Like you have this beautiful confidence, and this like, yeah, it's just this confidence, this knowing, and it really helped me move through my lack of,
Hmm.
to kind of be like, no, no, you're right. Like, this is what I received, and I'm trusting, and it just is, because you just embodied that so well, that it like encouraged me to do that.
Hmm.
And yes, with the putting you ahead, like, I have a tendency to put other people up on pedestals,
Mhm.
and in that sense kind of be like, oh no, well they know, they can do it better, or they know better. Like, no, 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 I don't know. All right, don't put that on me. And it really challenged me
Mhm.
in that aspect to be like, no, you guys stand together.
Yeah.
Nobody's ahead, nobody's higher, nobody's whatever. But yeah, it was challenging. It was so fucking challenging. There was so
Yeah.
many dark nights of the soul for both of us.
Yes.
But what amazing lessons.
Yeah.
So we've evolved so much, I think, on a healing personal journey,
I
you
would say
know.
so. And I think part of, an underlying part of that was that we would at times trigger
Mm-hmm.
wounds within one another to
Mm-hmm.
force the healing. So it was like an expedited, like an exponential period of time where we were like extreme healing here, like forced to look at parts of ourselves that maybe were something that we didn't realize that we embodied, or that a belief system that we didn't even know we had,
Yes.
where we were being forced to understand it and then to reflect on it. But thank goodness for that path, because had we not had the self-awareness to do the reflecting, it wouldn't have like we wouldn't our business wouldn't have survived. First of all,
No.
our friendship wouldn't have survived. It would have
No.
been just two toxic females butting heads the whole time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It was such a eye-opening experience in that sense of being able to approach, like being in a relationship, a friendship, like any type of interaction with somebody.
Hmm.
And I've never had a relationship, a friendship like ours in how we talked and moved through things.
Hmm.
Never.
Me either.
Right? Like it showed me how it can be done and
Hmm.
how it should be done. And that kind of dictates, I find, in my relationships, whether that's family, lover, or friendships or course, it's kind of transformed me in how I approach it or see it, in the way how you and I did it, because it was so fucking refreshing, I think,
Hmm.
for both of us to be able to speak our truth and know we were okay.
Yeah.
Like, know we were safe. Know that the other person wasn't just going to get triggered and be like, what the fuck, bitch? That we were going to be like, even if it stung, even if it, we now had this like ability to be like, okay, wait a minute, I'm triggered. This is a me thing, not a her. Okay, where do I stand with this? And reflect, and we could then come back to each other. It was crazy. It was
Hmm.
crazy. It was
Hmm.
amazing. I
Yeah.
love it.
I do too. And this past year has been sort of like a slow transition of you taking control of the business and fully stepping into your power. And I'd say just even now, like with the season that we're in
Mhm.
of Samhain, it's like it's all about death and rebirth. It's all about releasing what isn't aligned, or what what is ready to be released, but also it's about the rebirth and stepping into the new version, or planting the seeds, or you know what I mean? Like it's the whole season. So it was perfect timing with regard to where we're at in our year as well.
Isn't it crazy? Like, I
Yeah.
swear we got to do another like thing on astrology, because I have received that so much. And now I'm just fucking realizing what I just did of like retiring the old business. And I just launched the new website. I've just announced it on socials, all these things. And then I was like, oh, fuck, astrology. It's completely in my chart right now
Yeah.
about releasing something old and bringing in something new. Get the hell out of here. I just love it. Come on. Can't make this shit up.
I know. Well, let's talk about your new business. So
Mm,
I just want to say, like, for me, I'm not working in this space the way that you are currently.
mm.
And it's not because I don't want to, it's because I currently don't feel called to. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And you
And
got to
I have
listen to
to,
that.
yeah, I have to honor and respect that. And again, sometimes it can be confusing because I still hold these beautiful gifts and tools. And I'm like, why don't I feel called to be of service? Like, how selfish. But
No,
I
no,
also know
no.
for me, this is a time of growth and expansion. And I am, just honoring that part of me. So it doesn't mean I won't be back to
Yeah.
offer something at some point or to
No.
be of service in some way or another. It's just going to look different than what we did with Soul Star.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have the opportunity to collaborate at your new business in the future, which I
Yeah.
feel will be exciting and fun, and that will happen for sure. But
You can come to my retreats where we dance around the fire naked.
yeah.
Let your boobies out.
Woo! Woo!
I'm like, well, our coach, our teacher,
yeah.
when we had finished our training, she had given little messages to everybody and like pulled forward like an animal, spirit animal and stuff. And mine was she, gifted me the lion, and it was for courage, which is so fucking funny because I feel like the courage, there was so like, it really was, there's so much courage. And then she made a joke saying like, you're not even at the, like you're at the very baby start of this whole journey. And she's like, I'm going to be one day at one of your retreats dancing around the fire with my boobs out. And I remember thinking like, what? And then I was like, I fucking love that. That's hilarious. So that just stays in my head now that I'm like, maybe one day there'll be a retreat and our boobies will be flying high.
Maybe.
Low.
We're low. We are in our 40s.
That's probably going to be when I'm in my geriatric stage, and that's when they'll be out.
This is so funny. Okay, well, tell us about your new business. What is the name of your new business?
Yeah, so it is the Luminant Soul, and
the frequency and the vibration of that name is just so bright.
I love that. Yay.
I
I felt really called to do something in that regard, because I feel like partly, myself, my own energy, I've been told many times, throughout my life from different mentors, psychics or whatever, that, like my energy, I have a very big energy, a very bright light or whatever. As well as I started down this journey, I started to realize like part of my purpose is to shine a light on people's shadows, to help them heal, right? So we kind of shine that light and bring it out. That's so much fun. I love being that person that triggers people. Not my people pleaser Libra rising hates it. And then the other part is, to really kind of like help illuminate the path for people to kind of walk down this spiritual journey, the spiritual awakening, connect them back to their soul in that aspect. So that's kind of what inspired the name. The business at this point is still very much the same. I have a deep calling for helping people to empower them to connect back to their intuition, to walk the path with them when they're on this spiritual awakening journey, because it can be tough. In readings, same thing, like helping people, kind of like break through some barriers or understand themselves at a soul level, and just kind of live that more empowered life. I'm kind of, I do feel like something's brewing. I don't know what that is yet. Usually I was like lazy when I was like, Mandy, can you connect and be like, what are we supposed to, because I'm like, I just like, you get the downloads, they'd be like, send it to Mandy. And then I'm like, and then the creative juices come. So now I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, that means I do feel like I need to go into meditation because I feel like something's brewing. So
create the space to receive it.
I know,
because in your day,
my problem.
Well, in your day, you're busy with so many other thoughts. But if you were just say doing your makeup and you were thinking and you just like opened
that's
up
true
to receive, you could receive all your downloads at that point. But you're always thinking about other things.
No, it's because I'm putting music on.
Yes.
Or I'm putting a show on.
Yeah, you're distracted.
So you are that's very true, because that was one thing I realized through this journey was I don't necessarily need to go into meditation. I can like work through things or receive things just in thought because I'm always thinking. But you're right. Since I'm always thinking, if I just sit there doing my makeup and keep it silent, it will allow
Even just
that
putting
to
on
open.
some meditation music.
You know
Report back.
what? I'm gonna do that.
I know you better.
I'm gonna do that. So do that. All right, let's get to the topic at hand. Enough of me.
Well, first, let's just say before we move on
Yeah.
that you can find your new website at theluminantsoul.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all the socials have been changed to the Luminant Soul. So you're still there.
It's
Nobody's
still there.
disappeared.
Nobody's hijacked it.
No.
It's
And
me.
then and you'll continue with the soul activating journey. Maybe it'll get a facelift or a refresh on the name or something like that. But
Yeah.
the core of what you do is supporting individuals who are ready to walk the path of a spiritual awakening and connect to their gifts, walk the path to illuminate the path to their soul, because when you do
Yeah.
this sort of stuff, you get to know yourself at a soul level.
Yeah.
Supporting others with your readings, and notice there's a healing on there.
There sure is, because I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
clap, clap,
Check
clap,
it
clap,
out.
clap,
Woo!
clap.
That was a lot of work getting the website up and going. My bloody fingers and thumbs hurt.
But now you know all the background stuff.
Yeah, I do. You're amazing, Mandy. Bravo to Mandy.
But now you don't have to wait for me to do something if you're like, you can just change it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And now I just know how to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So we're going to talk about telepathy because of our amazing experience on the weekend. But let's talk about like what telepathy is first. Do you want to go for that?
Yeah. Okay. So, telepathy is the exchange of information through energy, emotion, and intention rather than the spoken language. So instead of us speaking out loud, it is happening on an energetic level and you are receiving it. We've talked about how everything is energy. So our thoughts is energy. It creates our reality. So during like a spiritual awakening, people become more sensitive to energetic communication because that's how we're communicating with the other side, right? Like, clairaudience is telepathy. Like that's telepathy. You're telepathically connecting to your spirit guide, to whatever, it's coming in that way. So a lot of people, I feel like all of us have experienced it at some point or another. And we just don't recognize it. So like you even just saying with coming over to meet me and you're like, oh, Allison's blah, 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 blah. If we didn't have that discussion, it would have been like, oh, I just got a download, not realizing like, oh no, it was you and I were like blah, 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 on the astro field talking. So like how some people have like done it or it's happened to you is like already. So it's like thinking of someone right before they text you. Again, very connected to the clairs, knowing what a loved one is about to say. And you've had a lot of that with your family lately.
I say my family's thoughts all the time,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Thinking someone's emotions or like feeling someone's emotions like from across the room. Again, I love how it's all related. It's all energy, right? Yeah. So like when we talk about like telepathy, I think we look at these things like superpowers, right? Telepathy. Like this is like a mystical like thing that it's like superpowers or what's the one where like you can move things?
Oh, telekinesis?
Telekinesis. Like all these things that were kind of like, ooh, if I could have a superpower, I'd want to have, and we don't like kind of anchor it in as a real thing. But at the end of the day, it is just energy and intuition. Psychic is energy, picking up on energy. So I love how that crosses over so much in that sense, right? Yeah.
I do too. And you mentioned how like the clairaudience is something that is connected to telepathy, but all the clairs really are. You think about
Absolutely.
like the third eye, the perception in the inner sight, that is
Yeah.
connected to telepathy. Also, like the nonverbal communication, the throat chakra. And
Mhm.
obviously, the heart chakra is a huge part of it because you have to be in that heart chakra frequency in order
Mhm.
to connect into the frequency of, that, because it's got to be that higher frequency that we're connecting to telepathically, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's just like, when we talk about like connecting to higher realms, so to connecting to spirit, connecting to the Akashic records, your frequency has to be high enough to be
Hmm.
able to hold that frequency. So telepathy is in that same, you know, bank of energy that, if your frequency is too low, you just don't have, you're not on that radio station to be able
Yeah.
to do that, right?
Yeah.
um
I think, did you hear
I
that?
think that
I,
good.
I was gonna say feel and think at the same time. So I feel like telepathy is easier for us when we with somebody that we're super close with already. So like we talked about, we're super connected. I'm very obviously very connected with my husband and my kids and stuff like that. So, I feel like it's going to be easier for you to recognize or to have this experience with people that are super close to you. And I also know that the upcoming and the current codes that are coming through the sun at the moment with these solar flares and this 3AI Atlas comet
Yeah,
that's coming into our orbit. Telepathy is one of the gifts that is coming online for many of us. And if you've been doing this work to raise your frequency for a while, should be something, or it could be something that you begin to experience more often, and it could get a little bit stronger. And I can say for sure it has gotten more often and stronger for me.
yeah,
And if you're just starting this path of awakening and learning how to raise your frequency and understand your gifts, this is absolutely something that you can develop and that will come online for you as you do that.
absolutely. And yeah, and it's super fun to kind of like play around with, and it's funny because like when it starts to come in stronger, so like right now where you're at, it's not necessarily that you have control over it.
No, I don't.
It's kind of just like, coming in and all of that, and it's recognizing. But that's the same with like developing your intuition. It's being
Mhm.
able to recognize the nuances in the shift in energy, of how whatever information's coming in and how it's coming in, but it's recognizing that shift, that change. So like, for example, if I'm receiving clairaudiently from my guide, it's being able to differentiate from my own internal voice and talking to myself, versus receiving from my gut, because it sounds the same, but being able to kind of tune into that. So the same with you, where you know thinking about the car and coming, if we hadn't had that conversation, right, you would have thought it was just an intuitive download. But after having that, I guess like in the car, it's going to be like these random things pop into your head being like,
Yeah.
how is that feeling? How is that feeling different than when you receive intuitive downloads or thought,
Yeah.
type of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this kind of before we hit record. Is kind of like learning a different language or a new language. So when you learn how to understand how your intuition is being received, how spirit's talking to you, that's like learning a new language because you're practicing, you're paying attention, you're observing, you're proactively interested in setting the intention to do that. It's going to be the same with telepathy, where
Mm.
it's going to be through experience and through practice and through understanding and through time. And so there will be times where, I fully believe that I'll get to a point or will get to a point. Some people will get to a point where we can communicate telepathically and know that we're having a conversation telepathically, because this is what we used to do in ancient Lemuria and Atlantis and ancient Egypt and all of those ancient cultures. This is how we communicated. This is how animals communicate. This is how plants communicate.
Plants, yeah,
It's
all of it.
all
And
it's
this
all
is how our
telepathically.
souls communicate on the
This
other
is
side. right?
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah. It's just like an imprint, a thought imprinted into our awareness, into our auric field. So I would be imprinting a thought into your auric field, and you would be imprinting a thought back to me. We don't need to speak verbally. We're just connecting telepathically. And like when you think about it like that, it seems kind of not simple, but it's a simple way to understand it. We're just imprinting thoughts into each other's auric fields and having that communication. And that will get stronger over time. I fully believe.
being aware enough to pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can give an example of how maybe others, how I do it not intentionally with my sister.
Yeah.
So, and there was something we never even like
New.
recognized. Yep. It was not until we were like out with somebody and they'd be like, what are you guys talking about? So we will sit there and be like, oh my God, do you remember? And then she'll be like, yeah, oh my God, that was so good, right? And I'm like, yeah, like it was like amazing. And like this was like so funny when like this happened. And then she'd be like, oh my God, like, and we will have this conversation and literally nothing's really been said other than those
listening.
things. So somebody listening is like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Like you could be talking about everything and anything.
Yeah.
And her and I have always done that, never really recognized it. Or she'd be like, oh, did you? And I'd be like, yes, I already did.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I just need to ask. And we just don't even notice it.
I want to take that a little bit further too, because that happened to me recently with, I can't remember who it was, but I was going to say something and they're like, oh, I already did that. And then
It was
I
me.
was like, no, it wasn't you. It was somebody else.
Wasn't me.
And then I was like, no, this is what I was going to say. So they had it wrong. Do you know what I mean? Because I could telepathically hear what they were going to say back to me. And I was like, no, this is what I was going to say. And they're like, oh, and that's happened a few times. But also like that story that you just shared about you and your sister and like having like a half conversation, but knowing exactly what you're talking about is a prime example of speaking telepathically. And also, you know, when you're at a place and you just have to look at somebody and be like, for example, you want to go,
you're like,
you just have to give them a look and they're like, yep. And then you leave. Like there's no words had been said. You just have to give a look and then you know exactly what
or even like not even the leaving, like say like something's going on and then you're both just like,
did you hear that?
And then both of you are like, and it's like, and there's nothing even happening. Like it's so crazy. So we do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's so fascinating. Like when that happens. And that's the thing with intuition too. Like when we talk about the third eye opening, we're like, dude, you've been doing it your whole life. It's not some like, wah! It's like the same with the telepathy. It's like, it's not some, we're picking up on all these other nuances that are happening.
It's just like a subtle awareness that happens.
Absolutely. You know, I like when they talk about like, it's not just like the verbal in like putting, it's the feeling, it's all the things. And I've said it before on the podcast, but probably forever ago. I had a friend that said, oh, can you do practice on me? Can you, tap into me or whatever? And so I was like, okay, thanks. I'm like, I'll let you know when I do it. So there was no set time. And I, went in, I don't even know, some random night and was doing it and
connecting to
their energy and reading them. What the fuck? I was doing it. And then the next morning she's like, hey, by chance, did you read me last night? And I was like, yeah, I did. And she was like, oh my God, like, this is weird. But I all of a sudden was like, Allison's in the room. Like I looked around to be like, it felt like you were here. And I was like, what? And technically I was, and so I was like, she was like, what time did you do this at? And I was kind of like, oh, fuck, I don't know. Like, I don't know. And then I realized when I went into my reading, because I always turn everything off and stuff, but I had to, something came up and I had to like text my husband at the time. And so I was like, wait a minute, I have the time. And then she goes and she says, was it, I don't know, 7:30 p.m., blah, blah, blah. I'm like, let me check. Sure enough, it was 7:30. And I was like, holy shit. So like that energetic field, like, so she was sensitive enough to feel that I
Mhm.
was in there and connecting to her energy. And it's like,
Mhm.
it's all the same shit. It's all the
Yeah,
same stuff. It's amazing.
I love that.
I know. Me too. Um, what other stuff?
Well, we talked a little bit about how it's going to be easier to connect telepathically with the
Yeah.
people that are closest. So you're stronger with soulmates, stronger with karmic partners, stronger with twin
Mhm.
flames, stronger with even people that you've had past life connections with, where the energy cords are more active.
Yeah.
And it's not
It's that cell phone kind
it's
of
a
connection.
little chord frequency, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the communication is happening through the auric field, and not necessarily through the ego mind, right?
Yes.
It's coming
Yes.
through the auric field. And telepathy isn't meant to replace communication, obviously, or boundaries. It's
Mhm.
just another energetic layer in which we can connect to people, to
Well,
others.
it's so funny because I remember like when I heard of the concept of telepathy, probably when I was a lot younger. Um, I remember thinking like, ugh, does that mean like somebody's picking up on my thoughts all the time? I don't like this. I don't like this. Like, how do you not have privacy? How do you, not like if we're telepathically having a conversation and you're like, hey, do you want to go to the movies? And in my head, I'm like, hell's no. I don't want to go with her. And then all of a sudden you're like, I heard that,
Could you
right? Like,
imagine?
we as humans,
I
we've
heard
we've
that.
I heard that. I'm like, it's like the movie with what's that liar movie?
Liar, liar.
With liar with
Jim Carrey.
Jim
Isn't it
Carrey.
called Yes? When he called Liar, liar.
The liar, yeah. So exactly that, where it's like it's just coming out of the mouth where you could not lie, and it's
Mhm.
like there's a reason why we have a filter because like we shouldn't not everybody needs to hear everything that we're thinking, and so that part I remember being like that sounds awful. So how does
Listen,
that
though.
work? Listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda.
Yeah,
So, can you imagine a world where nobody can lie? That would mean that everybody is living authentically true to who they are.
yeah,
And authenticity is the absolute highest frequency somebody can exist in,
yeah. And this is
which
why we
would
talked
mean,
about could we ever become 100% authentic in this life?
well, I think in the fifth dimension frequency
Yeah,
that would exist
but not
because
necessarily in the third.
not necessary because no,
Mhm.
but and that there's going to be a transition period, um, of probably a few hundred years where
Yeah.
Earth, the beings on planet Earth slowly transition into fifth dimension because it has to be through free will, and you want to be at this point where we're at in our evolution experience.
Yeah.
There is a shift where people are going to move into the fifth dimension frequency and people are going to stay in the third dimension frequency, and some people are going to be in between in the fourth dimension, for example. But I don't think in our lifetime we'll see all of humanity in the fifth dimension, but
Mhm.
maybe in our next life or the life after that we will experience life on earth in the fifth dimension where everybody is truly authentic because there is things like telepathy and we can automatically know how somebody's doing, how they're feeling, where they're at, what needs to be healed, how they can help, that sort of stuff. And I think that would be a very interesting world to live in.
Absolutely. Well, and I think like really in reality, that's what it's like in the spirit realm,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
In the spirit realm, we're just talking and it makes me wonder even, when we connect to spirit and we'll receive messages and they can talk a certain way or they can be so matter of
It
fact,
was, yes,
right?
philosophical
Yeah.
or like, duh, this is how it is.
Yeah, yeah. And so but being here in this body, we have all of these senses. We have all of the emotions. We experience all of it. Where on the other side, it's just love, right? So it's like if everything is sent and received in the love frequency, nothing is bad, right?
Mhm.
There's no of the nuance where here we have these emotions that then file certain things as bad, like, oh, they don't want to go to the movies with me. Oh my God, do they not like me? Like, blah, blah, blah. Where I feel like on the other side, if it's like, it's just that it's received in like, there's just no negativity in it, right? So you can be
It's just
open.
matter of fact. It is what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just is. And so many times where I, will receive messages and have received messages from spirit, and it comes across harsh. And then, well, especially from age, right? And it's like, what? It is what it is. Like, what? It's just, that's what it is. And then I'm like, okay, but that's not nice. But then on that side, it's like, what are you talking about? It's a fact. It's kind of like Asperger's. I feel like he has a bit of Asperger's. Like, we have to define that as Asperger's here, because you'd be like, but that's not socially acceptable to say it like that. So it's kind of like to be truly authentic. And like anybody who's been diagnosed with Asperger's is actually embodying more of their authenticity.
Absolutely.
With that. But like when you talk about like being authentic, one thing that kind of came into my head, I was like, when you have like that crush, you've had a crush before, and you're thinking some dirty thoughts. I'm sorry, I do not want that person to know what I'm thinking, where I'm like, hey. And then all of a sudden they look around, they're like, what's up? And I'm like, shit.
That'll be interesting. But I feel like what will happen is that you'll just have this siren sexual energy, just like, I don't know, like pulsing off your auric field into the air.
Oh my God. And then I'm just like, come here.
Yeah, you're like the siren. You know what I mean when I say siren, right? Like
I totally know what you mean. Yeah.
Intoxicating, sexual, and like
energy drive. Actually, this is so funny that you say that. So the last time I went to our trusted psychic, Tammy, this was something she said. She's like, I forget, but she kind of was like, you have, I guess the shift happened. And I know a shift happened.
Yeah.
In that sense. And she was like, it's emanating out.
You're already pulsating this sexual energy.
Oh my God. And so she's like, so maybe unintentionally, people are kind of like, hey. And then I'm like, whoa. So it's like, bring it back in, bring that siren energy back in.
But I think that'll be part of like the learning curve, is learning how to maybe manage the energy that we're putting out into the auric field, and being a little bit maybe more mindful of what energy we do put out, depending on the situation. So that'll be interesting to see how that kind of all evolves and unfolds, especially if we're all picking things up telepathically and we're in like different people's orbits, and people maybe we don't. I don't know.
I just, well, because we, but that's the thing, we already are in a sense. Like like when you're around somebody and you're like, I think they like me. What are you picking up on? You're picking up on some type of energy.
Yeah.
You're picking up on something. So they haven't said it to you. I like you. I want to get in your pants. They haven't said it, but you're picking up and going like, I kind of feel like they like you. So right there, it's a non-verbal communication is happening that you're picking up on. But because we trust the verbal, it's kind of like you kind of sit there and you're like, yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure, but this is what I'm feeling. So keep your thoughts to yourself.
Keep your siren energy to yourself.
Mandy's like, hey, how you doing? I know. Okay. Have you had any, so like you've been having a lot with your family.
Oh yeah.
And it's increased.
Yes.
More recently.
I'd say like regular.
Yeah, on the regular,
Daily,
which is
every
like
other day, something like that
is coming up. I find one of the big misconceptions of somebody feeling that or hearing that you're an intuitive, a psychic, is that you're sitting there reading their mind. Huge.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody that maybe is nervous of this type of work, right? Because it's different. And we all have our kind of like predispositioned thoughts and feelings on psychic work, intuition, all of that. But one of the main key ones that we have felt and have received and seen is like, oh my God, are they reading my mind right now?
I
And
actually had that happen the other day.
really?
Yeah.
And it does suck actually when it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I just want to squash it that no, we're not sitting there being like, I'm
I feel like
reading you constantly.
no. I feel like it's just a misunderstanding of, or not even understanding how energy works. Because so
Mm.
I was at an event and I was at a table with a bunch of colleagues, and a couple of them know what I can do, or like know about Soulstar and our podcast, and like they know that I can connect intuitively. And then some of the people at the table didn't. So one of them says to the other, "Oh, like I was asking questions about to this one person about their day because they felt very like quiet and introverted, and then people were kind of like, oh, he had a really interesting day." And I was like, oh, tell me about it, like what happened. And then so he shared, and then the other person was just like, oh, she's psychic. Mandy, did you catch that? Like, did you catch up on the da, da, da? Like,
And
did
you're
you
like,
pick that up?
stop.
And I was like, honestly, I didn't do that intentionally.
Mhm.
It wasn't like I was intentionally tapping into this person to try to figure out what was going on. I was just, I guess, reading the energy of the group or connecting to the energy of the group, and could feel like something wanted to be shared or needed to be shared. But
Yeah.
it was like they were confused that I could, you know what I mean? Like they were confused and thinking that I asked that because I was intuitively picking up on that
Mm.
specific person, and that something crazy happened or whatever it was. But I didn't do that intentionally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. And I think that's the hard thing too is yeah, because we're not being nosy,
No.
intrusive. Even we've talked about before, like, hanging out with friends or somebody you haven't seen, and like you're giving advice and it's like, okay, no, it's not me being psychic, I'm just being a friend. Like
Yeah.
I'm not connecting. We don't want to connect all the time.
No.
Like it's
And
an
no.
intentional thing. But yes, sometimes unintentionally, especially if it's loud enough, it,
Mhm.
it comes through. And we don't even recognize it. Like I
Yeah.
remember being at that was the funniest. It was like, of course it happened with that person. We went to a retreat with we were doing business mentoring, business mentorship program, and there was a retreat, and we were asked to kind of do like these little mini readings for everybody in the group. And we had done these little mini readings, and I remember one of the people that we had done the reading had given obviously permission to do, but definitely very apprehensive. We could pick up on that when we were doing her little mini reading, that she was very apprehensive of what we did and maybe wasn't fully comfortable. And sure enough, I get seated beside her at the dinner, and I was like, damn it. And so, I'm trying to like engaging in conversation, trying to be like, I'm cool, man, right? Like, come on, I'm not what you think I am. Like, I'm not saying that, but I was just trying to be like
Yeah.
totally chill. And then I remember answering a question that she didn't say out loud.
I remember that.
And I was just like, and it just came in so fast that I was like, oh yeah, no, no. And then I was like, I don't do that. And then she was like, I was just gonna ask you that. And then I'm like, oh fuck. So fuck. Great. You just ruined all that, Allison. No, I don't read your mind. I don't read your mind. It's terrible.
I actually find it harder. Like it's confusing when you're in a group of people,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, because there's so much energy. So the other night we were at this event and I was at a table, but there was like 100 people there, and it was so loud, and there's so much
Oh.
pressure in my head because there's so much energy happening in there that it just feels like at that point I'm definitely not connecting intentionally to anybody, because I'm trying to shut everything down because it's just too overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So no, it's very strategic in that sense. I do feel like if it comes through, if it slips through, because that's where it kind of feels like sometimes it just like
Yeah.
slips through and you're just like, oh, I didn't even know. I remember having it happen at work too, like with a colleague, and I don't even remember what it was, but I remember it coming in and then all of a sudden he said it. So I didn't say it out loud, but I remember
Hmm.
like, somebody asked him a question of like where, blah, blah, blah. And I received it. And then all of a sudden he said it. And I was like, what? So like, yeah, this just kind of like glitches or these little like bloops that
Yeah.
just like comes in. Now I've tried to also intentionally do it
I it's
with my like,
hard.
it is. So I have so many times with my dog when she was still alive.
I try to do it with
With
my dogs too.
Yeah, right. Where you're just like in your head, like, come here. And I'm like trying so hard. I'm like, Betty, come here. And I'm like, she's not coming. And it pisses me off.
I know why.
Why?
It's because we're doing it with our ego mind and we're trying to have a conversation with them. It needs to be like an energetic like push out of that like
Oh, yeah. So if we go into and we quiet our
has to
mind
go
and we
into the
and we
quantum, yeah, it
we
has to go into the quantum field.
yeah, into meditation and we deep down into it and then start to move our energy out, just like I've
It
gone
has to
and
be
shared
like
my energy.
yeah, yeah, like the embodiment of the
Embodiment.
energy. It's like yeah,
I'm
I
going
feel
to try that. I'm going to
like
try that tonight with one of my kids. But then I also just received, as I was saying that, because I was like, I'm going to try that with like 10 or something. The problem is, though, is the recipient has to then also be open to
well,
receiving that or actioning it. So, like, say I'm like
actioning it.
connecting to Tanner and he's hearing, like, oh, I should go ask mom a question, but then it's like, why? I don't want to do that. And then
Yeah.
it's not necessarily I failed. It's maybe the receiver wasn't picking up or they dismissed it because their ego came in and was like, that's fucking
Yeah.
weird. Why would I
But
reach out to that person?
I feel like you could still practice that with Tanner and be like, okay, I'm gonna send you like a color or you know,
Yes.
like there's a
So
little game, making it a little game so that
so
he's
that both people
paying
are
attention.
aware that it's happening and then
Hmm.
but they don't know when you're going to send the color, but if all of a sudden you're thinking you get a color and mom in the same thing, then you're like
Yeah, yeah. I feel like
I
you can practice
know.
it that way.
I want to practice that. Yeah, yeah. So that's so funny. Yeah. Cause like how so you can do that though. Like everybody, like, doing it with your husband, your wife, your best friend, your family, like somebody you feel close with to be like, let's try this. Even if I guess like online, you and I like sitting here, and if we were to drop in and be like, let's just practice it. It's just like anything. It's a muscle that needs to be
Mhm.
used so that you can recognize it more when it's actually coming in and it becomes easier,
Yeah.
right? It's like the first time connected to my spirit guide, it was fucking hard. Now it's just like, get out of here.
I agree. Well, yes, I agree. Connecting with your spirit guide, that's a not a tough one because it's actually not tough to do, but it's the hard part is getting out of your way to trust what you're
Oh,
receiving.
well,
That's the tough part.
it is the tough part.
Yeah, because yeah, I
You'll be
remember being
receiving.
so focused on a name on an image.
Oh,
Those are going to hold you back. Yeah.
absolutely. um Absolutely. And like with teaching, and you obviously you taught for many years, and I see it in this cohort and everything. Like it's a standard one. It's standard. It's very normal to question yourself, to be like, oh no, like I'm not connecting. Oh, really? Ask some questions. Oh yeah, yeah, no, I got that. Yeah. Who do you think that's coming from? It's coming from your spirit guide. So
Okay.
again, it's just connecting the dots, right?
Yeah.
It's connecting the dots, and again, trusting in ourselves. And we all are built differently, or have like a threshold of how much we trust ourselves and how much we doubt ourselves. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I you know admired your ability to trust yourself and have confidence in yourself. And that was something I really lacked on. But we all kind of come forth with our own little thresholds, and it's going to be harder for some people. Like me, it was harder. It took longer for me to trust myself. I still battle it because it's part of my, code, my makeup of who I am, part of my healing journey, all that stuff. And then for other people, it's going to come in very easily. I've also seen it on the other side where it's overinflated, the confidence, and somebody's like overriding it and being like, no, I can do this and this. And then they're not correct, but they're not allowing themselves to sit in it, to humble enough to realize I'm not correct in what this is happening. And my ego is kind of driving this type of thing.
Yeah. And I'd have to say, because I come with more of the confidence, that's something that I've had to put into check, like that I'm very mindful of, or I've tried to be very mindful of, because how am I trying to say this? When you are receiving and you are feeling confident, there's a sacredness that comes with the work that you're doing. And so trying to stay humble and in that, the energy of that sacredness, and ensuring that what you're receiving is the truth, because there's a frequency to that, right? So there's a frequency to the intuition, and we've talked about this so many times, where the intuition is calm and matter of fact, and the ego is fast-paced and fear-based and quick, and the energy feels different. So when you're receiving messages and guidance for somebody specifically, and you're needing to share it, there's a certain responsibility when you're sharing that to ensure that it isn't coming from your ego, which can't be loud when you're confident in what you're receiving.
And they sit so closely together, right? Like
such a fine line.
It's such a fine line. And as humans, we are filters. We have a filter system. And, you and I could witness the same thing and it filter through us, completely different. And we have different viewpoints or how we saw it or whatever, right? That's just every human being. We all have our own filter system. So the same thing with intuition and being an intuitive or psychic is, unfortunately, it's still going to go through this kind of like your own filter system. And it's trying to separate the two, which can be very hard because it's very much integrated. And we, many times, like I've learned many times where I, say I receive something from spirit and then I put my own thought, like, so say it's part of the story, right? I receive part of the story. And then I end the story with like, oh, it must be this.
Because that's your experience.
Because that's my experience. And it's like, and many times I've had that where it was like, oh, it's not this, it's this, after, talking with the person or whatever. And I always say there's three people in a reading. There's like the reader, there's spirit, and then there's the sitter, because the sitter is going to be the one that puts that final puzzle piece where you're like, oh, I thought it was referring to this. No, that makes sense that it's that, right? Because it's all so much coming in. So, yeah, with like the trusting and the
overconfidence.
I know, like, I remember it was another example of you and I in the business and me putting myself lower or back or whatever. There was a few times that, there was a business decision and you had something come in strong. And then I was like, oh man, I'm feeling the opposite. But then I'm like, oh no, it must not be right. Right. And I would like doubt myself, and because I couldn't, but these were lessons. It wasn't, I don't see this as like, I see this as spirit set this up for a lesson, right? Because then it became highlighted. And it became very clear after the fact when we, whatever the decision was, and then realized, oh shit, what I was receiving was right. It was like a huge fucking lesson for me. To stop, to stop doubting myself. Yeah.
And my lesson was perception. So I often receive insight like well before it's meant to come into reality or into fruition. And that was something that I learned earlier on, and through those experiences, was the perception of time. And just because I'm receiving something so loudly and so confidently in the moment doesn't mean we need to put it into practice or into the world at this very moment. Like, because sometimes it felt like there was a sense of urgency.
Yeah, you would get downloads with urgency.
Yeah, they were very loud.
Yeah.
And so then I felt like, but that is also through, like, that comes with time, that comes with experience, it comes
Of
with
course.
maturity as a intuitive, it comes through lessons, like all that sort of stuff. And that's kind of one
Trial
of
and
the
error.
examples. Yeah, one of the
Mhm.
examples we were talking about where, in our business, we were teaching each other the whole time.
Which was just amazing, right? And
Mhm.
and definitely at times it was tough, but it's always in retrospect. And this is
Yeah.
where with anything in life, it's always when we're out of it and looking back, we see it, right? So whether
Yeah.
that's you're in a difficult relationship and you can't see it while you're in it, but the moment you get out, you're like, what was I doing? I always kind of say like the fog lifted. When I
Yeah.
was in it, I just couldn't see it. It was all here. And then when I stepped out of it, the fog dissipated and I saw it for what it actually was.
Yeah.
And so many things. You didn't get that job. 2 years down the road, you're like, oh my God, thank God I didn't get a job. So like if you're going through something difficult right now, just connect to your future self and be like, there's going to be a day that I look back at this and be like, oh, that's why.
Mhm.
Good. I'm glad it happened.
Yeah.
Type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to add before we kind of like close this up? This is a fun one.
Yeah, it
Anything you
was.
want to telepathically tell me? I'm listening. No, I'm not listening because I'm not connected. Okie dokie.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you for joining us for another episode, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.